Hello again, Hacksters, for actually the second time today, but we had some technical difficulties, and I refuse to let a suboptimal broadcast stand. So we're redoing it. Anyway, this news dropped today. It's huge. NVIDIA is coming out with this new board called the Jetson Nano, and compared to their previous boards, which will be like multiple hundreds, if not thousands of dollars each, this one is just $99. But there's a twist, which is that the developer kit is $99, whereas the module itself, the Jetson Nano, is $129. So if you buy the module on its own, it's $30 more expensive than getting the developer kit with all these excellent add-ons and stuff, which is super weird. However, Alistair, who wrote the blog post on this, is noting that the module itself can only be bought in quantities of 1,000 or more. So presumably, like at that point, it would make sense for them anyway. So if you're looking for something to run machine learning neural nets at the edge, this is the kind of thing you would use. So what is at the edge? It's basically this whole thing of like, you have a ton of data. For the last few years, the whole cool thing has been to upload it to the cloud and do all your inferences there and like figure out what the data mean and then stream that back down to your device. This is kind of like, it's kind of like rewinding a few years, honestly. I think at the edge is just like on your local device is what that means. So you basically do all the processing as much as possible on the device itself, and then you upload the result to the cloud and perform operations based on that. So the cool thing about this kit and this module in general is that it can run multiple neural networks in parallel. So things like image classification, object detection, segmentation, and speech processing all at once on the same piece of, like, a video feed. So you could do things like, recognize objects and figure out what kinds of speech is being produced around them at the same time, which could be really cool, really creepy, really cool. All kinds of cool stuff this enables, though. And this is going to be available at earliest in June, but not just from NVIDIA, but also from Seed Studio and SparkFun and more, potentially more. Not only that, but you can tell that it's aimed at makers because it has an interestingly familiar 40-pin connector here, which, if you've used a Raspberry Pi at all, seems mighty convenient. In fact, they say on the developer kit website, without actually mentioning any other competitors by name, that, where is it? It includes a full desktop Linux environment and out-of-the-box support for a variety of popular peripherals, add-ons, and ready-to-use projects. So one wonders what those peripherals might be. They're probably Raspberry Pi hats. That's probably exactly what they are. An interesting thing about this one, which is kind of similar to the Stereo Pi that came out recently. Oops, wrong window. Anyway, interestingly similar to the Stereo Pi that came out recently, they've put all the ports on one side, so it's very useful in that way, easy to mount inside of an enclosure. And you'll see that they have the HDMI port, you have 4 USB ports, an Ethernet port, and a micro USB connector, and a barrel jack. This is another thing that Alistair mentions, is that they bring up, they have a suggestion that you provide it with at least 3.5 to 4 amps if you're going to be trying to run especially sort of computation-heavy applications on this. Now the issue with that is that even a standard Raspberry Pi, an official Raspberry Pi power supply, will typically provide up to 2.5 amps, and that's a lot for a 5-volt like wall wart power supply. And if you have less than that on a Pi, I'm sure you're familiar with that awful reboot cycle that it can go into, which I have experienced many a time. So probably people are going to be wanting to power this through the barrel jack itself instead of through that 5-volt port, because it's just not going to be practical to find at least affordable power supplies that provide that much amperage. It's just ridiculous. The one final thing I wanted to highlight about this, you can go into the blog post, which is linked in the description of this video, and check out all the cool stuff that Alistair has done to sort of break this down and put it in context of other recent boards, other boards in the Jetson family, other trends in silicon that's custom designed for running neural nets, and things like that. But the thing I'm most excited about, of course, is this thing called the JetBot, which is a robot that they've designed that uses the Jetson Nano, and they've already got the plans up on GitHub, so you can go check it out. NVIDIA AI IoT / JetBot, and it's got 3D printable files and stuff with this cool low poly design. I think that stuff is under assets, yeah. So you've got a camera mount, the caster base, which typically little robots will have like 2 driven wheels and a little caster, so it's kind of a little tripod. Looks like this is very likely the case. You've got a shroud for the caster, and you've got a chassis. Then you also have Jupyter notebooks, and you've got, what's this? TensorFlow thingamajigs, Python scripts and stuff. Very cool. So if you go over to the wiki, you will find the bill of materials among all kinds of other resources. So cool! They've already included all this stuff, so you can order all your stuff now, and then they're going to be uploading a software image that you can just download and flash onto a micro SD card that you stick into the Jetson Nano. That'll be available on Monday the 25th. So if you want to get a head start on being one of the first to build a JetBot, check it out. I mean, I don't think anyone has the hardware yet unless they're like super friends with NVIDIA people, because this thing is not yet available. Wait, is it? I could be wrong on that. I thought it was going to be in June, but it may be a pre-order. Oh, learn more. Seed Studio. Let's see. I don't want to be giving you misinformation, so. Yeah, okay. It's a pre-order now, and they estimate it will be available on April 12th. So before June, which is nice. Yeah, cool. But you might as well start putting your stuff together now. Check that out. Super exciting. And of course, you can see projects that have been built with its cousins in the Jetson family on Hackster. Just go to Hackster.io /NVIDIA. And as always, follow the blog to see this post, as well as tons of other cool stuff. I can't look at it because I get lost in it for hours. That should give you an indication of like how rad our blog is. Yeah, that is our MCU Monday for today. Have an awesome rest of your evening, and I will see you tomorrow. Ciao!